He manages Bryce Harper, which is one of the biggest offseason signings, to say the least, in Major League Baseball. And I'm pleased to have him on the show. And I'm not just saying that because we both have parents from Bensonhurst, Brooklyn. He's Gabe Kapler, the manager of the Philadelphia Phillies. How are you, Gabe?
Rich, I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. Yeah, my parents are from Brooklyn too, Gabe.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. It's nice how those things connect people like us.
It is that. And my folks, they still have the thick New York accents. It sounds like they never left Brooklyn, Gabe. It's great.
That's not my folks, but
No.
yeah, I mean, I love to hear my mom tell stories about Bensonhurst. Kind of cool.
It's back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day. It's always a good conversation with mom.
Well, I know my mom and my dad would always tell me about watching Jackie Robinson play, and it's Jackie Robinson Day in Major League Baseball. You got your 42 ready tonight?
I do. It's every time I've been a part of Jackie Robinson Day, and I've seen my jersey hanging in the locker with number 42 and no name on the back, gives me chills. No matter where I've been, no matter what clubs I've been with, where in the country I've been, it always makes me feel like I'm part of something special, and really lucky to have even witnessed Jackie Robinson play in video. I mean, what a stud, and what an honor to be associated with Major League Baseball on a day like today.
Yeah, and taking on the Mets too. You got Syndergaard coming into your house, and we'll hit that in a second. So, again, it's Jackie Robinson Day in Major League Baseball. It'll be a fun day to watch games and, of course, reflect as well. What has it been like getting Bryce Harper acclimated to the Philadelphia scene, or has he just done that all on his own, Gabe?
He really has done it all on his own, Rich. He's a pretty prepared, pretty diligent individual, super intense. Nothing catches him off guard. He was prepared for the biggest spotlight, and it was a pretty big spotlight on opening day here in Philadelphia, and then headed to Washington, D.C. for his return to that city. And he's just managed all of the emotion and channeled it, and just been a great baseball player and clubhouse leader for us since he's been here.
Yeah, and then Franco and Hoskins have been raking as well. How does just him being there, clubhouse, in the lineup, how does it affect everybody around him so far here?
Well, I think in the clubhouse it makes us a stronger unit. He doesn't feel the need to stand up in front of the group and be a rah-rah guy. He knows he can just fit in and lead with his play on the field, which has been really, really good. It's not just the offensive production that we've all seen, but it's also the base running. The outfield play has been great. And the energy level, the intensity really sets the tone for our club. So Bryce has been great, and really happy to have him.
Well, we had a guy who you know very well, and Dave Roberts, on the show, and he told us about talking to Harper and during the free agency process, and described sort of like an Ocean's 11 type scene in Vegas, just going to see him. And what was it like being part of that free agency process, the meetings with him?
It was pretty exciting because you could kind of you could sense that this was going to be a part of somebody's book someday, part of a story, and a very small piece of the story, but one that's really important. And so, the recruiting process for all of the clubs involved was a pretty intense one. There was a lot of work put in. And at the end of the day, this was Bryce's decision about where he wanted to be for the long haul. Choosing a club for 13 years is a real commitment. And it's certainly not just about the money, although I understand why people tend to think that. When you make a commitment to a city for 13 years, it means I want to be here. I don't want to be anywhere else. And I'm prepared to dig in and be a part of something special here for a very long time.
So did you think at any point in time that he wasn't coming to Philly?
I mean, I think there's always that doubt. And certainly he had many suitors and great opportunities, and I thought that he would make the decision that was best for him and Kayla and his family, and I think that's exactly what happened. Did
you go to Vegas? Were you part of that whole scene too?
I did, and it was a really incredible experience because I knew he had some important decisions to make, and the Philadelphia Phillies had some pretty big decisions to make, and so it felt intense, and at the same time, I felt pretty honored to be a part of it.
Does he have a hangover type setup like Tyson in Vegas? Best you can tell? Any animals or anything like that? No.
No tigers.
Okay.
No animals that I was aware of, but it was a nice conference room and some really good conversation, and in a really nice hotel. So really, really cool experience across the board.
Very good. Gabe Kapler, Phillies manager here on the Rich Eisen Show. You could wave a wand and make a rule change. You could tell Commissioner Manfred, I want this done, and he says done. What's that rule change for you?
I don't have one for you, Rich. I can tell you that I really like the strategy of the National League. It's a lot of fun. I mean, I love the gamesmanship, and I love the tactical decisions that go on in the game. So kind of like having the pitcher hit. And at the same time, I think it would be cool to have, a DH and get one more guy who can bash on the roster. When it comes to rule changes, I kind of feel like it's the responsibility of the managers around the game to just be really good under those circumstances, under the new circumstances. So that's how I think about it.
All right. Then let me ask you about some of the changes that have been made. What do you think of the idea that you might have one day the inability to change pitchers because the pitcher hasn't faced a minimum number of batters out of the bullpen yet?
The way I think about it is immediately pretty strategically. It means that we have to have guys that can go through multiple batters on our roster. It means that we need to find the guys who are strongest through 3 batters instead of, matching up for 1 batter at a time. And it's kind of I look at it as a good challenge and a different kind of challenge, but it just changes the way you'd manage a baseball game. And everybody. So one thing that I've always said is if it's raining on one side of the field, it's raining on the other. So if we all have the same rules, then it just becomes a race for who can be most strategic within the construct of those rules. So I don't form an opinion based on, I really like this one, or I really don't like this one. And instead, I just immediately focus my attention and our attention on being good under the current circumstances.
All right, then let me try it this way, Gabe Kapler. If I had to wave a wand and Rob Manfred said done, I would get rid of the shift. I can't stand it. I'm seeing somebody like Chris Davis go 0 for 53, and I think the shift has a lot to do with it. The rope that he hit to break up that streak, I don't know if you saw it. I mean, it sailed over the head of somebody that was right there in short right center field. It drives me crazy. Would you have a problem if that went away?
I don't think it drives me crazy in the same way it does you. I understand the passion around the shift, and at the same time, if the rule was changed and we had to position our infielders traditionally, I wouldn't have a super hard time with that either. I just don't have, I think part of the job of being an entertainer on television, being an entertainer on the radio, is to be very opinionated about things like that. I think the job of a major league manager or a major league executive is to do just the opposite. And it doesn't mean that we don't feel the feelings, but immediately shift those feelings to how do I do the best job I can possibly do under these conditions. And so I'm not taking the position here that I don't feel an initial reaction to a new rule. What I'm saying is it's my responsibility to quickly shift to how do I do a good job under the current construction.
Well, I don't paint me with a broad media brush, Gabe. Don't do that. No, I mean, don't just lump me in with everybody else. I mean, I'm
never. You're a super sharp guy who's been doing this for a really, really long time, and your job is to have strong opinions.
Well, no, I do that one. I do. I really do. I'm not just I don't make anything up, but it just seems to me. I want to see more action. I mean, we started this conversation with Jackie Robinson, and for a great reason. I mean, the split screen was invented because he stole bases, and I'm not saying people don't steal bases anymore, but it just doesn't seem to be much action anymore. There's just the doubles and triples, and it just doesn't seem to that the game has changed, and I just look at the shift and I blame that.
Okay, so I'll give since you conjured up an image of Jackie for me,
yes,
I will express one strong opinion for you.
Thank you, Gabe.
I really enjoyed as a player the ability to have contact at the plate with the catcher, and I really enjoyed as a player the ability to have contact with the middle infielders at second base. So those are both things that I think were really exciting about baseball. And kind of made the game, I don't know, a little more rugged, little rougher, a little bit more old school. So
Okay.
those are things that I kind of miss about the game. How's that?
Well, because you're built like a brick house. I mean, that helps. That helps. I mean, that absolutely helps. In that regard, what is your workout regimen? What is it?
It's different now. Now I have a chance to just be a manager.
What do you mean?
Eat whatever I want in the clubhouse and
Come on.
go for a run.
Come on. No, back in my day and yours when you played, managers didn't look like you. They didn't. They just sit there and they just they eat sunflower seeds and sit on their butts and didn't work out very much.
I will say this about our staff in Philadelphia, our entire coaching staff.
Yes.
They do a really, really good job of getting after it. Prior to the time that the players arrive at the ballpark, these guys seem like they're constantly sweating. So it's not just the work that they do in the coach's room, analyzing video, looking at spray charts, studying the opposition, but it's also the physical conditioning that they do. And I think the reason that's notable is because I think that, players want to know that we're all in this together and that everybody's willing to work as hard as they are or harder to support them. And I think doing some of the things that they do is actually a good example. So
Sure.
I'm proud of our staff for those things.
Okay. So when was the last time you had a simple sugar, Gabe? Like legitimately like a Skittle or something like that? When was the last time you had something?
I'll tell you this. I know you'll probably not believe this, but I ate more chocolate-covered almonds in spring training than I probably, like any sweets that I have in my entire life. It was like one large cup of chocolate almonds after the other all the way through spring training. So I know that chocolate almonds don't sound like M&Ms, but they have. But remember, they have this very thick coating of milk chocolate around them, and
okay,
so that was a pretty good binge for me.
I will accept that. I've got two more questions for you. Gabe Kapler, Phillies manager here. You played a day game yesterday. How much was the Masters on in the clubhouse locker room?
It was on quite a bit. We have a couple of coaches who follow closely. I know some players were really excited about Tiger. I can tell you I didn't watch a stroke of it.
Okay.
But it was definitely on in the background, and guys were talking about it. And this is not to change the topic, but with the Mets coming in, I just felt like there were some things that we had to attend to.
Of course.
Hope that's understandable.
Makes sense. That's totally understandable. Last thing for you, too, Gabe. You are one of 9 individuals to be fortunate enough to say you were on the field when the Red Sox broke the curse in 2004. Francona kept you in after being a pinch runner, kept you on the field. Were you surprised that you were kept on the field? Did you lobby for it? What's the story? Is there any story behind that in 04?
Yeah. So you're on the field for the last out of the World Series, and it was because you lobbied for it. I think that's awesome. I think I was not one of the best 9 guys on that club, right? I think what happened in that particular case was we had a pretty strict platoon going. So I would bat against left-handed pitchers. Trot Nixon would bat against right-handed pitchers. And then there was a pretty consistent base running switch towards the end of games, or defensive switch towards the end of games. And so that's why I found myself on the field at that time. I felt really lucky, and the fact that Tito believed in me at that time was pretty special for me. And man, I honestly just feel blessed over the whole thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I would have lobbied for it. Maybe that's why I brought it up that way. I love that you found that funny.
I was just kind of envisioning now in the manager's position, a player coming and be like, "Hey, please put me on the field for this very important moment," and me just like, "Yeah, sure, no problem, go ahead." That'd be a lot of fun.
I don't know. Maybe the analytics matchup. You never know. I'm just
could be.
Hey, thanks for the call, Gabe. I hope it's the first of many here to the show. Really enjoyed our chat, and it's been a long time, so I appreciate it.
Rich, I enjoyed it too. Look forward to the next one.
You bet. Right back at you. That's Gabe Kapler, Phillies manager.
For more of the Rich Eisen Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV for free on BR Live, or download the Rich Eisen Show app.